Welcome to Boostfad Academy Computer Tutorial Series. This is tutorial number 21, where we will be discussing about Superscript, Subscript, and Strike Through. These three items, so we have them under the same options. That's the reason why I will be taking the three together. So let's go back to our Microsoft Word. So let's open Microsoft Word. So let's go there. So Superscript in simple terms means power. For example, let's look at these items that we have, that I have on the screen. Look at 2 raised to power 3 times 2 raised to power 4 equals to 2 raised to power 7. The 3, 4, and 7 are power in this expression, in this equation. So, and that power is what you call superscript in computer. How do we do this? So in computer language, if you look at the keyboard, we don't have anything like power in the keyboard. So in that case, if you want to type something like this, you are going to type all the figures the way they are. That is 2 raised to power 3, you are going to type 23. So for the times, we use X for that one. X, that is 23 times 2 raised to power 4, we type 24. So then equals to our equal sign, then equals to 2 raised to power 7. That's 2 raised to power 7. You are going to type 27. Now, how do we turn the 3 into power? How do we turn 4 into power? How do we turn the 7 into power? What are you going to do? The first thing is that you highlight the numbers that you want to turn into power. That is the 3 for the first item. That is for 2 raised to power 3. You click at the front of the 3. You press down your shift button. Then you use the arrow button. You press it once. It will highlight. You can see it is highlighted. Once you highlight the items, the number to take to power, the next thing is that you press Ctrl D. That is, you press down the control button on your keyboard, then you press D. So as we press D, you can see a box appear with series of options. If you look at it, under this section, under the effect, we have strike through, double strike through, superscript, subscript, which means you select superscript. As I select superscript, then you click on OK. You can see the 3 jumped up, that is as power. Let me bold it for you to be able to see it better. So you can see the 3 is now power. You now have 2 raised to power 3. The same thing happened for the 4. We want to make the 4 to be power. So you go there, you click on your shift button, then you use the right arrow, that is, you click the right arrow button. It will highlight it once, just once. So we have highlighted the 4. The same thing happens, you press Control, you press down the control button, then you press D once. So the box will appear. So you also select superscript, then you click on OK. You can see we now have 2 raised to power 4. The same thing happens, the 7 you highlight. You know, like I said, you can use shift and arrow key, or you use your mouse or the mouse pad on your computer keyboard. That is, you can see the mouse pointer, you bring it to the front of the 7, then you double click and drag. You double click and drag to the right, it will highlight. So it has highlighted the 7. Then the next thing is that you will press Ctrl D. Once you press down the control button, then you press D. So it appears. Then select superscript, select OK. So you can see we now have 2 raised to power 7. But take note, if you want to continue working, you may realize that whatever you type after this one may likely appear. So you can see, assuming okay, 2 raised to power 7, you want to continue with your work. So the next thing you are typing may still appear as power. So for you to correct that, you press Ctrl D again. Ctrl D. the box will appear. If you look at it, you will realize that the superscript is still selected. Then you go there, you click it again to deselect it. You can see it is deselected. Then you click on OK. So you can see I now have my full cursor back, which means I can now continue typing, so without having any issue. So that is how to correct that. So the next one is what we call the subscript. Subscript is what we know as base in mathematics. For example, let's look at the equation that I also gave on number base that I gave on the screen, where we have 5 base 10 equals to 111 base 2. How do we type this one? If we have something like this on a computer system, the 5 base 10, we are going to type it in full, just like I said, that is 510, that is 510. That's what we are going to type, equals to, so equals to what? We have 111 base 2. The same thing happens, you type that one also in full, 1112. That is 1012. This 10 supposed to be base, this 2 supposed to be base. So how do you do that? The same thing happens, you highlight the 10. That is either you click at the front of the 10 before, that is before the 10, then you use your shift and arrow to highlight 1, 2. You can see it has highlighted the 10. Then you do the same thing, you press Ctrl D. When you press Ctrl D, it shows option. Under the option, you can see we have subscript. So this time around, instead of superscript, you select subscript. Once you select subscript, click on OK. You can see so it turned to base. You do the same thing with the 2. You click at the front, you click down the shift button, then use your arrow button to select. So it has selected the 2. Press Ctrl D. It brings the option. The same thing, you click on what? Subscript. So click on OK. So that is how to make a number, to turn a number into base. So like I said again, base in computer we call it subscript, while power is called what? Superscript. So I'm done with this one. So like I said, if you want to do any other thing, if I press, you realize the number did not appear the way they're supposed to appear. So instead of them to stand alone, they appear in form of base. How do you do that? Is because we have already selected subscript. You have to go back and unselect it before everything go back to normal. Then press Ctrl D again. It brings the option. You can see the subscript is still selected. Deselect it by clicking on it. Then click on OK. You can see I now have my full cursor back. You can see the number 8 compared to the first one I have. So that is it about subscript. So now strike through. For example, the Naira sign, like Naira sign, you realize that in most cases when people are doing work that has to do with putting Naira sign, they put just N instead of the Naira sign, just because they don't know how to create that one. How do you go about it? Is the same thing happen just like this one, as you have 5 Naira. If we have something like 5 Naira and you want to do that, just type your N, capital letter N and 5. So then you go to the end, you highlight the N. After highlighting the N, press Ctrl D. You can see after pressing the Ctrl D, under the option we have strike through. Strike through means that it's going to be one line. So but for Naira sign is having double strike through, so you select double strike through. So click on OK. You can now see we now have our 5 Naira. So that is how to type a Naira sign on a computer system. Now let's go to the project that we had at the front page of this, where we have 2 Naira raised to power 2 times 2 Naira base 2. How do we do that? It's the same thing. You press capital letter N on your keyboard, you press 22, then your times space. I've given space, then you use time your X to indicate times, then 2 Naira base 2, that is the Naira, then 2 base 2, we press 22. Now let's start the work one after the other. the first N supposed to be naira, you highlight it, you press down the Control D. You can say bring the option that is naira, that is strike, double strike through. 2 lines will be written across through the N sign. So double strike through. Okay, you see, I now have my naira. So these two supposed to be power. Highlight the 2, press Control D. The same thing, select superscript. So the 2 turns to power. So we repeat the same process for N. To change it to naira, highlight it, press Control D, select double strike through, then click on OK. So we have the naira sign. So to make these 2 base, select the 2 by highlighting it, then press Control D again, then select subscript, which is base. Once I select the subscript, click on OK. You can see we now have our 2 naira there. The same thing happens for the equation for the carbohydrate C6H12O6. How do we represent that? Let me deactivate the base. So because if I continue typing like that, everything will be in form of base. So by double clicking, by pressing Ctrl D, so I unselect the subscript. Okay, now I want to type C6H12O6, the formula equation for carbohydrate. How do you go about that? Let me type, you type your C, the 6, you type 6 H12O6. So the 6, but this 6 supposed to be in form of base, this 12 supposed to be in form of base, this 6 supposed to be in form of base. The same thing happens. How do you do that? You highlight the first 6, the 6, Control D. Once you press the Control D, you select subscript. Okay, the same thing happens. The 12, you highlight the 12, you press Control D, so you select subscript. Okay, so you can see we now have C6H12. Then the same thing happens with the 6. You select, you press Control D, you select subscript, you click on OK. So you can see we now have C6H12O6. So that is it about superscript, subscript, and strike through. Anytime you have something to do with that, that's how you go about it. So thank you very much for thank you very much for watching this video. In the next tutorial, I will be discussing about fraction. When you have mathematical expression that involve fraction, how do you type this on the computer system? Because if we look at it, there's nothing like that on our keyboard, and we have work that has to do with fractions. How do we do that on the computer system? That's what I will be discussing in the next tutorial. So once again, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like the video, and share it with others. Until the next lesson we will be meeting, I said take care of yourself.